Alright, well, he didn't fall in, which would have been great.
Very good running head start.
I was hoping he'd fall in so I can get it on. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to show you the part 2 of Tinker Creek, the Southside. And as you can see here, this is where we park, at the mailboxes. Unfortunately for this recording, my camera's sound didn't work out very well, so I'm just going to play you some music so you can sit back and enjoy. I'll interject with some commentary as we go through it. Enjoy. After a short road ride, you can see here the entrance. As usual, I'm joined by Tyler, who's also recording this on his GoPro, and whose footage will probably never see the light of day. General rule when riding Tinker Creek: when you get to a bridge at the bottom, it's usually followed by an up. As usual, what goes down must go back up. Another thing I should mention to you guys is that this is my first real ride on my new bike, and so I've noticed quite a few things different from my old hardtail. Number one, I'd say the hardtail's actually faster and requires less pedaling. I guess that's something to do with the rear suspension, causing me to slow down quicker and maybe lose some acceleration when pedaling. But on the downhills, much more confident. I found that I used to ride downhills, I would almost be, behind my back seat in the terrified position. And now, after riding this Instinct for a little while, I find myself riding much more centered and maybe even more aggressively, and really letting the bike just handle things. It's been very enjoyable. I would say that when I'm biking for fitness, like going around the lake and going up and down the roller coasters and trying to go as fast as I can, that it is definitely harder work with the rear suspension. So I do find myself putting it in the firmest position in order to, minimize the impact that suspension has on the climbs. But I would also say that the advantage is the seat dropper post. I used to put my seat down and leave it down the whole time I was on the trail, and so when it came to climbing and sitting, I would really almost burn out my knees from not having the full extension. And now with the seat dropper post, I can actually put the seat down for the fun downs, and then when I'm climbing, I can actually put the seat dropper post up and have full extension, and so it helps a lot to make up for the lost speed and acceleration by having the full extension on the pedaling. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the bike purchase and how it's performed. I'm really excited to take it to some bigger hills and try out some bigger features and really play with the suspension and see how that feels. And one thing, the bike has definitely given me more confidence, so I feel like I can do more stuff, and so that should add to the enjoyment of riding. In case you were wondering, I purchased a Rocky Mountain Instinct A50 edition, and if you haven't seen that video, you can watch it. It's called New Bike Day. I would say this next section, we'll call it the second half here, is a little bit more advanced. There's some steeper, sharper switchbacks, and as you'll see, there's some tight spots to get your handlebars through. But I just call it more fun. We stopped here for a minute because Tyler was having some kind of issue with his chain. Once we had that resolved, we were back on the trail. Here we come to an intersection, and in the past we've always gone straight because that's where we had done a marathon here, and that was the course, and that's the way it took us. But more recently we've gone the way we're going to go now. Boy, is this ever a fun section. In fact, it's this section where I really learned to trust my instinct, meaning my bike, and really just let her go and ride aggressively and just have fun. Tyler decided to try and jump this section and then reconsidered at the last second here as there's a tree in an awkward spot and almost wiped out. So remember that intersection we came to before? If we had gone straight rather than turning, we would have actually ended up in this exact same spot, just from the other side where that other rider just came from. This next section, we have the most awkward turn to the right, followed by the most awkward bridge. I have yet to be able to make this turn. And then look at this bridge. you can't get onto it with any kind of speed, and it's pretty skinny. So I mean, I'm not normally afraid of a skinny bridge, but I always walk this one, at least coming from this side. Going back the other way is not so bad. So this last part of the trail, we'll call maybe the last third or quarter. It's pretty easy, pretty open, some nice ups and downs, and this takes you to the end of the trail where if you were shuttling, you could get picked up at the end of, and then ride back to the beginning. Or what we usually do is we just ride it and then turn around and ride all the way back. Having said that, though, we since recording this have discovered what we call the lower loop, and have figured out a way to do this trail in a big circle, and so we'll bring that to you in part 3. So here comes another slightly terrifying, kind of skinny bridge to get across with a 6-foot fall into the creek. Haven't failed it yet, but I'm sure it'll happen one day. It's a bit of an uphill climb to the end of the trail, where I mentioned earlier you can either shuttle back or just turn around and do it again. We turned around and we made it back to the awkward bridge. Not so bad going this way. So we've made it back to that intersection, and to the left you can see here that that's the section we normally came down before. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the right here, or straight. And we've never gone that way before, and that'll be our next video where we show you what happens in here. It's actually, on Trail Forks it's called the lower loop. And by going this way, we've actually figured out a way to do Tinker Creek in a circle, which we've never done before. So stay tuned for part 3 where we show you the lower loop. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, leave us a comment, like and subscribe as usual, much appreciated, and we'll talk to you next time.